Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan Ding and I'm a type 1 diabetic, and today I'm going to be doing kind of a recap of my diabetic journey. So I'll be celebrating my sweet 16th Diaversary. I don't actually ever celebrate my Diaversary. I'm not actually sure even the exact date I was diagnosed. I just know it was sometime in May, but I thought it'd just be kind of a fun video to look back on big milestones in my life related to diabetes over the years. Since I think I've come a long way and diabetes has been with me a long time, it's something important and significant in my life, and I think it's important that we all reflect. So that's what I'll be doing today. So I'll start out with May of 2004. That was when I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So I made a video about my diagnosis story a while ago, but basically kind of just a summary of it. So my parents, they noticed that something was off with me for a while, but they didn't really know what it was. And we went into my doctor and she said that I just had a fever. So we just went back home and continued on with our lives. But my mom noticed that there was something wrong with me, and she was talking to our neighbor who's actually a nurse, and she said that maybe I have type 1 diabetes. So my mom took me in and they found out that I do have type 1 diabetes, and it was just a pretty crazy time for everyone. Yeah, so I got onto the shots at this time. I wasn't on the pump immediately, but yeah, May 2004, that was when I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which was 16 years ago. So 2005 and 2006, this was when I was in preschool and kindergarten, and I remember my mom would always have to come in at lunch and test my blood sugar, and she stayed with me. So back then, preschool and kindergarten, I think you end around noon or whatever it is. So my mom would come in the morning and afternoon and always help me, give me shots and test my blood sugar, and so that was really convenient, and she was always there for me. So 2007, that's when I finally started first grade, which was elementary school, and I started on the pump during this time, so I was 6 years old. And I also got my first school nurse, Nurse Victoria. So this time my mom stopped coming to school because I had a nurse now. So basically every single day, before the first recess and during lunch, and before lunch, Nurse Victoria would come into my class and we would test my blood sugar and correct as needed, and she would call my parents and log it down in the book and everything. And then after lunch I would have to go see her again and bolus everything that I needed to. Now on to 2009, I switched from my first elementary school to a different one. So now I was going to a new elementary school, which meant I was going to have to introduce my diabetes to new people. I also got new nurses during this time. So it was a lot of changes. And these nurses were a lot nicer than Nurse Victoria, I remember, because I really enjoyed all three of their companies. So 2010, I switched to another elementary school for 4th grade. So I got a new nurse, Nurse Susan, who is the best nurse in the world. So 2011 and 2012, this was a time when I got a phone. So my parents gave me a phone specifically for diabetes. So instead of a nurse having to come in now, I would test my own blood sugar and then text them what the blood sugar was, what was on board, and what the pump suggested to give. And then they would text me back telling me what to bolus. So I tested every day at 10 a.m. and then before lunch and would text them. So I stopped going to my nurse during 5th and 6th grade altogether, but I still did visit her to talk to her and stuff like that, but I didn't actually use the nurse anymore. So 2013 is when I started middle school. So this was when I stopped even texting my parents. I started correcting things on my own and doing it on my own without having to get a double check-in with them or anything like that. So 2014, I went to Bearskin Meadows Kids Diabetic Camp. This was a great time for me because I was just surrounded by so many people who were going through the same experiences as me. So if you're a young diabetic or you have a kid who has diabetes, I would highly suggest looking into diabetic camps, because I had never really experienced that kind of thing. You know, everybody had to do the same routine and I never felt left out because we were all in the same boat. And I didn't realize how much diabetes kind of didn't isolate me, but made me feel sometimes out of the loop from others. So being at the camp, it was such an eye-opening and great fun experience for me, and I met so many great friends. So 2015, I started my high school. This was the time when I started using the sensor full time, the Dexcom G5. This was so helpful because I had track practice every day after school, and I would be able to check the sensor instead of having to test all the time. So the sensor really changed my life, and I started using it at the beginning of high school and have continued until now. So 2016 and 2017, I switched to a different high school, and this was kind of when I realized kids don't care about my diabetes. Switching school is not a big deal because nobody's asking about it. Nobody really cares. Everybody minds their own business, I guess. Like, you kind of realize that you're not important and diabetes isn't that big of a deal to others, because when I was younger, I always felt like it was something kind of weighing me down and that I had to explain to new people I met. But around this time, I kind of realized it really doesn't matter. 2018, I went on a 2-week exchange student abroad program in Belgium. So I had to prepare a lot for this trip to make sure I would be able to take care of myself properly. I had to prove to my parents that I would be able to get up in the middle of the night. I would be able to monitor my blood sugars when things are going on. We walked around a lot, so I always had to be monitoring it. So it was a lot of responsibility, but I'm really glad that my parents trusted me enough to let me go. 2019, I graduated from high school and I started college, so that was last year. And at college, I kind of realized that a lot of diabetic responsibilities that I hadn't noticed before, such as making sure I'm always stacked up on supplies and don't run out, and learning how to go out with friends and control my diabetes at the same time. So now it's 2020 and I'm celebrating my sweet 16th for Diaversity by making this video. Diabetes have been going really smoothly, and I'm really appreciative that there haven't been any major hiccups or anything like that. I'm really fortunate to have so many great people around me who help and support me, and I hope that diabetes continues going well for me. So I hope you guys are all doing well. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it was interesting to you, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!